What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into a live Cleveland Browns report, Tuesday, November 21st. And for the first time really ever, the Browns have broken the Steelers. Matt Canada, as I'm sure we've all seen by now, was fired today as the Steelers offensive coordinator because Jim Schwartz held him to 10 points with his starting offense out there, and the Browns have completely broken the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, for the amount of times that this has happened in the reverse, it's nice to be on the other end knowing, yep, we're the guys that were so good. You all went back home and decided people have to lose their jobs because of what the Cleveland Browns did to us. I mean, really think about that. Like, Mike Tomlin was on the plane like, the Browns defense embarrassed us so badly, I have to fire someone. Take a little pride in that. Like, I know, never talk about another man's job and all, but when you get paid a lot of money to coach in the NFL, it kind of loses a little bit of that sting of losing your job from an outsider's perspective. But we have a lot to talk about on today's show. We're going to discuss whether or not it makes sense for the Browns to add Shaquille Leonard. We're going to talk playoffs. Yeah, we're talking playoffs. And then we have a preview for a big Week 12 matchup over in Denver between the Browns and the Broncos. But really quickly, predict the score while we get you guys involved in the chat. Let me know who you got in this game and by how much. Browns and Broncos. It's not the 80s, but you know what? It's still one of the better AFC matchups outside of the division. So let me know what your score predictions are for this game. I'm going to save my score prediction for a little bit later in the video, but take this as your opportunity to kind of be the host of the show for a little bit, and let me know what your score predictions are. Ron Davis, coming for my throat. It's a bad shirt. You know, I like the shirt.
I don't think it's a good shirt. I think it's a great shirt.
It's a great shirt, Ron.
It's not a good shirt. I'll agree with Ron. It's a great shirt.
Jeez, Ron. Alex, Broncos look good. Denver has won 4 in a row. Longest winning streak in the NFL, I believe. Yeah, it has to be. The Jersey Dog says 24-12 Browns. I understand wanting to go with the score prediction. That's kind of a routine score. Are the Browns really going to score 24 points? They scored 13 last week. Maybe that goes a little bit up, but I don't know if it's going to go a full touchdown and an extra point up. You know what I mean? So let's pump the brakes a little bit on that. Deshaun Cosby, 14-10 Browns. That I can see. Tyman says 24-13. Depressed Browns fan, 28-13. Shaylin Spinda, Grumpy Shaylin is here. Yeah. That's my wonderful girlfriend who I sent to Whole Foods to pick up Thanksgiving ingredients and whatnot, and evidently I downplayed how much it would take or how much like food there was. So
Can't do that.
She's walking back with like 7 bags right now.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
So I'm in the doghouse when I get home.
Well, doghouse. Petey's doghouse. You are in your own doghouse.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
I don't know why. This one feels like a scoregami game.
Ooh, a scoregami game.
I don't know why.
I wonder what the lowest scoregami available is. Probably like 5-4, 2 safeties and I mean, that's not going to happen
like
here,
that.
but
like 3-4 maybe?
It's hard to get scoragamis low now.
Yeah.
The only scoragamis left are like 57 to 42, something like that. All right, here we go. So, predict the score for me down below in the comments section. While you were getting those score predictions in, a quick shout out to our sponsor today, Prize Picks. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Now, I love Thanksgiving, but sometimes getting together with the family can be a bit stressful. So if you are looking for an out and you want to go watch some football with your cousin and go on a walk maybe, well, make sure you get on Prize Picks. We have some skin in the game and whatnot. So I'm taking the more on Christian McCaffrey, half a rushing plus receiving yard. They're just giving that one to you. Just go out there and take it. Jahmyr Gibbs, I like the more on his rushing and receiving yards combined for 79.5. Tony Pollard, I'll continue the running back trend. I'll take the more on that one. And then finally, I like Brandon Ayuk and DK Metcalf combining for more than half a touchdown. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. We all know there can be some absolute stinkers of primetime matchups. Looking at you, Black Friday. But make sure you check out Prize Picks because it is daily fantasy sports made easy. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Joe Flacco. If you were calling the shots, you're Kevin Stefanski. Who do you think should start? DTR or Joe Flacco? Usually when we have conversations as sports fans about which of these two quarterbacks should start for their team, it's not that all close of a debate, but I think this one will have a pretty close feel to it. I'm seeing Michael Warnecki say DTR. Jacob Kistner says DTR. Wolfstan says DTR. I'm a little surprised to see the amount of DTRs I'm seeing. If Joe Flacco is not so hated by Browns fans, I wonder if it would be a little bit closer. I'm going to lean on DTR this week, but I definitely do believe that Joe Flacco was not signed to just be a mentor, right? If you need a mentor, well, there are other people for that. You got coaches for that. But if you really wanted to stay competitive, Joe Flacco is probably the man for the job if things don't go well with the rookie. And this is not a season to waste the back half on, well, let's find out what DTR has for us. No, this team is 7-3, not 3-7. If this team is going to stay competitive, they need a good quarterback. And after 2 starts, if DTR proves he's not the man for the job, well, then Joe Flacco will probably start the next game over in LA against the Rams. So let me know, DTR or Joe Flacco. Jeff P. Flacco wasn't hired to start. You know that, but you want clicks. What do you think Flacco was hired to do? Really? I mean, Jeff, you think Joe Flacco was signed by the Browns with the full intent of, you're never going to play for us. We just want you to sit on the bench. No. It will make no sense for the Browns. This is a 7-3 team that needs a good quarterback. Needs a quarterback. And if DTR proves that he cannot be the guy after a few starts, then they are going to go to Joe Flacco. That is why they signed him. They signed him for an insurance in case something were to happen to the starter, or if the starter does not play well. Come on, Jeff. Be smarter than that. Depressed Browns fan, DTR. George says Browns 14, Denver 10. Jared Brandt says Joe Flacco. All right. That got me fired up. I don't know why, but dude, we're not talking about reaching for stars here. We're talking about the Browns losing their starting quarterback and having a rookie backup. Yeah, they might not stick with him long term for the rest of the year if things don't go well. Like if DTR starts to really suck it up, you think they're going to look at Joe Flacco and say, sit down? That guy in the YouTube section said, you're not playing today. He definitely left by now. I have Chase. That's a subscriber I'm not going to get. Okay. Hey, let's talk a little bit Thanksgiving here. Turkey Bowl time. Favorite Thanksgiving menu item. We're going to talk X's and O's for, the next hour or so. But it is, I would say after Christmas, my favorite holiday. If anyone celebrates Christmas and does not say Christmas is their favorite holiday, they are trying to be unique.
See,
it's a lie.
Thanksgiving is its own holiday. It's its own day. We shouldn't just skip past Thanksgiving. Good family, good times with good people, great food.
Right.
How could you hate Thanksgiving? It's awesome.
Favorite Thanksgiving menu item? I love turkey. I know some people like to be cool and be like, I don't like turkey. No, you suck. Turkey's awesome.
That's me. I'm a
oh
ham
my
guy.
God.
I'm a ham guy. I like turkey, but I prefer ham. I will say this. I will take a great Thanksgiving turkey over just ham every day, but a great spiral ham, in my opinion, is better than a great turkey.
So a little bit fun fact about your host here. Before I got my favorite job in the world working at Chat Sports, I was covering high school sports over in Wyoming and Utah, and it was primarily ranch community, so cattle company, whatnot.
Ooh.
And Thanksgiving came around, and we were just talking about, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? And that part of the country, those communities, it's prime rib.
Ooh.
And I didn't realize how hardcore it was. Meaning turkey was a crazy thought for Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
It's prime rib for Thanksgiving. I'm like, you guys know you're the only ones doing this.
That's interesting.
But when you have cows all over your yard,
yeah,
it makes sense to be that's Thanksgiving right there.
Makes sense.
Okay. Mac and cheese has been said. Baked beans has been said. I've never tried fried turkey, but I would like to try it.
Fried turkey rules.
Yep. Okay. Wolf Stand. I'd help my girlfriend after she passed out last night from lack of sleep and working too much. That seems like a conversation I'm catching like the second half of, and the first half is definitely important. Stuffing. I don't like stuffing. Not a fan of stuffing. Not a
Is it
guy.
stuffing or dressing? Because I've heard both. It's stuffing for sure.
I'm not going to entertain the idea of calling it dressing.
You stuff it in the turkey. You don't dress it in the turkey.
That makes no sense. Okay, how about this one? Shout out your city. You guys know this is the favorite, request I have of everyone tuning in. I always just want to see where people are tuning in from because I take such pride in knowing that the Browns fan base is not restricted to one zip code or one state, but Browns backers are literally global and nationwide. So before we jump into the nuts and bolts of today's show, one last time, get in the comment section, shout out your city for me. The Madden Man is in Cleveland. I've got Ohio in the chat, Louisville, Dallas, Columbus, Sacramento. Cool guy, as always, in Maryland. Depressed Browns fan is in Westlake. New York City, baby, L.A., Alabama, Detroit from Ron, Toledo from Jacob. Patel is in Cleveland. We got Christchurch, New Zealand coming in from Dylan. What time is it in New Zealand right now? That's my question. We have Okinawa, Japan, Konnichiwa, El Paso, Texas, South Jersey. AFX Apocalypse is in my house. Please go help Shaylin bring the food upstairs because I sent her on a mission to Whole Foods, and I can't believe my local grocery store is a Whole Foods. There's nothing closer. It really pisses me off. I hate Whole Foods. No free ads. Hamburg, Germany, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Cincinnati, Ohio, basement of PD studio. What's for dinner, PD? Dinner tonight is usually leftovers. I host trivia on Tuesdays, so I don't have time to cook dinner really. We don't have leftovers, so I don't know what it's going to be. It could be a chicken strip night. Yeah, exactly. Puerto Rico's in the house, San Antonio, Texas, Tampa, Florida as well. Okay, let's jump into it with a mailbag call. So we're going to have a mailbag towards the end of our show. So get those questions in right now. Hashtag Browns if you have any question related to DTR, Joe Flacco, this Week 12 matchup, or anything under the sun. Use hashtag Browns somewhere in your question, the beginning, the middle, or the end in the chat, and we will put that on screen during our mailbag. And if you want to guarantee your question goes on screen and you don't want to be at the mercy of producer Trace picking his favorite questions, well, super chat, and we will throw that on for everyone to see. Coming up on today's show, I figured it'd be fun to do a little bit of a playoff path / picture / odds / predictions. We still have a lot of football left, and it's a little bit early to be talking about this. But when you're 7-3, this is not something we get to do very often. So I'm going to capitalize on this right now, and I'm going to take a nice long bath in what's called the NFL playoff picture. Because usually the Browns, well, they're not even a part of the hunt graphic when we get to that time of the year. So I'm going to enjoy this for now, and I'm going to talk about playoffs and then a preview for Week 12. Huge matchup over in Denver against the hottest team in the National Football League. And then we have that mailbag I just talked about, hashtag Browns or Super Chat. Okay. Yep. Are we ready to jump into this thing? I'm not. I asked a question, and I knew the answer. Okay, let's talk about the Brownies. Let's talk playoffs, baby. Playoffs. Talk playoffs. If you want the Browns to make the playoffs, like the video. This is not some kind of poll to get a whole bunch of likes. I genuinely would like to have you guys like the video because the Browns have very little playoff history in the last 2 decades or so. So with them at 7-3, let's not chance it. Let's just like a YouTube video. We're talking playoffs on today's show. Now, let me start off by saying this. Definitely a little bit on the early side, but you know what? The Browns are not 7-3 every single season, so I figured on today's show we would run through playoff path, picture, and predictions all together. What is ahead for the Browns as they go into the last third of the season in a pretty good spot right now. When we look at the updated AFC playoff picture, now I am filming this, by the way, on Tuesday during our live show, so depending on when this video goes out, that could implicate things for the Dolphins-Jets game. But the Browns are currently the 5 seed at 7-3. the best of the non-division winners, and that would have them on a collision course to play the Dolphins if they were to hold on and beat the Jets on Black Friday, maybe the Jags potentially, but this is the current AFC playoff picture. And now the AFC North standings. The Ravens are at 8-3. The Browns are right behind them at 7-3. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are about to become a really bad football team that they have been all year, but they are finally going to get exposed for it, are 6-4. And the Bengals, they might be out of it all the way at the bottom. So here are the Browns playoff odds. As we kind of run through some of the facts and figures here. To make the playoffs, the Browns have an 86% chance, all this coming from the New York Times playoff machine. To win the division, 25% chance. To get the 1 seed, 7% chance. In case you're wondering, the highest 1 seed odds were the Dolphins at 12%. So it's really early on. We have a lot of football to be played. And to make the Super Bowl, 2% chance. So here is the remaining schedule for Cleveland. They go to Denver in Week 12 and take on a 5-5 Broncos club. Then they go on the road once again. They're going to stay out west, by the way, and take on the 4-6 Rams team that just had an emphatic win against the Seahawks. Week 14 is against the Jags. Week 15, home against the Bears. So 2 big road matchups and then 1.5 big home matchups. Then they have the Texans on the road on Christmas Eve. They have the Jets coming to town for now on Thursday Night Football, but I could see that changing. And then Week 18 is in Cincinnati to round out the regular season. So before we start looking at what the Browns are going to do in terms of predictions for the rest of the schedule and overall playoff predictions, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Now, what is Prize Picks, Petey? Well, it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. We all know there could be some absolute stinkers of primetime matchups, anything with the Jets or the Raiders, but with Prize Picks, you can stay locked in on the game. Here are my selections for Thursday Night Football, Turkey Day, and whatnot. I'm taking the more on Christian McCaffrey at half a rushing and receiving yard. I'm taking the more on Jahmyr Gibbs, 79.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Tony Pollard, more on his rushing yards. I'm just going for a clean slate on the RBs mores. And then I tossed in Brandon Ayuk and DK Metcalf combining for at least more than half a touchdown. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Looking ahead here, let's look at the remaining schedule and start giving out some predictions. Starting with a pair of road games out west. They have the Broncos this Sunday, which I think is going to be a win, but this game definitely gives me the heebie-jeebies. Broncos are hot. They have won 4 in a row. They've been playing really good defense, and I understand they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins, but that was the September Broncos. The November Broncos are a very different team. Now, I also have the Browns losing in Week 13 to the Rams. To be honest with you guys, I would be very happy if Cleveland comes out of this 2-game road stretch 1-1. You can divvy up the losses however you want, have them lose to Denver and beat the Rams. I don't really have a strong opinion as to which of these 2 games they might win or lose. I do believe they are going to go 1-1. So whether it's a win in Denver and a loss in LA or vice versa, if the Browns were to beat the Broncos and lose to the Rams, they would have a 93% chance of making the playoffs. That would have them at 8-4. If they were to lose to the Broncos and beat the Rams, they would have an 88% chance of making the playoffs. If you're going to lose games, have it be to an out-of-conference opponent. In-conference opponent, that goes into tiebreakers for the playoffs. But I predict that Cleveland will go 1-1 on this road stretch. Not really sure which game they win or lose ultimately, but if they can go 1-1, that would be a big win, I feel like. Moving on to their 2-game homestand here. I think they might fall short against the Jags. This might be one of those games where the defense is going to play well, the defense is going to keep this team in games, but ultimately they're not playing the Steelers and Kenny Pickett, who sucks, by the way, and Matt Canada. No, unfortunately, I think Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence could get the Browns number in this one. However, I have them bouncing back to beat the Bears. Again, I always look at schedule predictions as chunks, right? Not specific games, But hey, in this 2, 3, 4 game stretch, what's that team going to do? And I think the Browns can go 1-1 on the road and 1-1 at home, which would bring Cleveland to 9-5 entering the last 3 games of the regular season. And at 9-5, that would have them at a really good spot to make the playoffs. I mean, look at the history of the NFL 17 playoff, and here are all 6, 7 seeds under this bracket. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of these 6 teams who were the 7th seed, all be 9 wins or less, right? Only one team had more than 9 wins as the 7th seed, and that was the 2020 Indianapolis Colts, in which a 10-6 Miami Dolphins team missed the postseason. So pretty much safe to say that if you reach 9 wins, you're going to make the playoffs. You are at least going to get that 7th seed. So if the Browns can go 2-2 between these next 2 road and home games, they would pretty much lock up a playoff spot in my eyes. But if you want to watch some playoff watch parties, something we have not been able to do on this channel since it has been birthed, well, make sure to sub for Dubs, because this is going to be an absolute party if the Browns make the playoffs, and you do not want to miss it. So no RSVPs needed, not even a save the date. Just show up to our watch parties when we start having some playoff games and sub for more Dubs, baby. Moving on to the rest of my schedule prediction. Week 16 at the Texans. I think this one might be a loss. The Houston Texans are a legit contender. I mean, they are 6-4, and it's not a fraudulent 6-4 record, right? The Steelers are frauds at 6-4. The Texans are a good team. And on the road, Christmas Eve, don't you just kind of feel like this is going to be a game that Texans fans are going to be able to see a win before Christmas Day? It's a little early present from Santa. I think that might be a loss for Cleveland. However, I have them bouncing back at home against the Jets with a win. No idea who's going to be playing quarterback for New York. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to return unless the Jets have a legitimate chance of making the playoffs. But who knows if that just means that they're not mathematically eliminated, or if they have a real chance, like if they are at 500 or 1 game below hand, that Aaron Rodgers would return. And if it's not Rodgers, will it be Zach Wilson? Will it be Tim Boyle? I don't know, but I like the Browns' defense at home. And finally, Week 18 at the Bengals. If Joe Burrow is playing, probably a very different outcome. However, it's not. It's Jake Browning. And if we got 2 backup quarterbacks going at it here, I'll take the better defense, which is Cleveland. So I have the Browns going 11-6, which feels really rich for a team rolling with a backup QB. But we also just ran through the schedule, and they're 7-3 right now. So I'm having them go 4-3 the rest of the way. I feel like this defense can easily go 500. Add in an extra game against 2 backup quarterbacks to round out the season. Yeah, they could probably win those 2 games. Maybe they go 1-1 against the Jets and the Bengals, and they go 10-7 instead. But 10-7, I think, would get you into the playoffs. So here are my playoff predictions. I don't like having the Chiefs get the 1 seed because their wide receivers are awful. But let me tell you right now, the Chiefs have a super easy schedule. And every time Reed and Mahomes face a little bit of adversity, they bounce back. Wink, wink, week 1, loss against the Lions, and they won how many games straight after that? Yeah. I have the Ravens winning the division at 12-5. They have a really tough schedule coming up, so hopefully I'm wrong, but my preseason prediction was that the Ravens get the 1 seed, the Ravens get the AFC North title, the Browns get the number 2 spot, the Bengals come in 3, and the Steelers come at 4. I have the Dolphins coming in at 3, the Jags coming in at 4, and then the Browns at 5, the Bills at 6, and the Texans getting the final playoff spot. So in this bracket, it would be Cleveland at Jacksonville, Buffalo at Miami, Houston at Baltimore. I think the Ravens would beat the Texans, the Dolphins would beat the Bills, and the Browns would beat the Jags in a redemption game from the earlier loss in the regular season. And who knows after that, a lot of football. Now, if you want to know what my NFC side of things are, here it is. Eagles get the 1 seed at 13-3. 49ers not far behind at number 2, 12-4. Lions lose the tiebreaker to San Francisco, so 12-4 Detroit gets the number 3 spot. I have no idea who wins the NFC South, but for now, I'll take the team with the 32nd strength of schedule remaining, the Atlanta Falcons, going 9-8, maybe even 8-9. Cowboys at the 5 spot losing the division, so getting to play the NFC South winner on the road. The Seahawks come in at 9-8, and then the Rams getting in below 500 because who else is there? Maybe the Vikings, but I feel like the Josh Dobbs run is coming to a bit of an end, and the Rams have Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald. I'll take those three guys over the Josh Dobbs-led Minnesota Vikings. So let me know, over or under 9.5 wins for Cleveland. Can they win 3 more games out of their remaining 7? They're at 7-3 right now. Can they get to 10 wins, over or under? That's going to do it for us on this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everyone who takes time out of their day to come hang out with us. If this is going out on Thanksgiving, happy Turkey Day. If not, I hope you guys are enjoying leftovers. Over or under 9.5 wins, let me know. What's going on, cool guy? AFX Apocalypse says over. Time Man says over. Charles Sanders says I. Oh, did it say 13-3, 12-4? Oh, I'll have to make that edit. My brain was still on the old version. That is a snafu by me. Okay. Well, Trace is going to kill me. I put for the NFC one, 12-4, 12-4, 13-3. I did the old 16 game format. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Okay. We'll make that correction later. I'm sorry. That's my bad. We'll do it with the NFC one. I butchered it. All right, cool guy. Way to have anti-man. Yep. Okay, we'll fix that later. Okay. Jersey Dog over 11 wins. Yusuf says over. Mike says over. Obsdiak says over. Kimberly Hurst. With the level of play, it will be over. They can win. Time Man. Mark saying over. Brent saying over. All right. No, cool guy. You were just looking out for me. I appreciate that. I'll never get used to having a 17-game schedule. It still breaks my brain every single time. I don't like the 17 playoff. The 7th seed always sucks. We all just looked at the 7th seed. 1 out of the 6 has been more than 9 wins.
No. I know how we can fix this. Add more teams to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because then another team would be worse than the 7th seed.
No, the owners got together and they're like, you know what? We can add an extra team to the playoffs, and that means adding an extra game to sell tickets to in concessions. Who says no? Yeah, we can sell our fan base on being in a little bit longer on the playoffs because there's an extra team, so people won't be tuning out a week or so earlier than they normally would if their team is eliminated from the playoffs. I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan. Okay. Let's do a preview now for this Browns-Broncos matchup. I cannot believe I did the whole NFC thing in like 16-game playoff. At least for, not all of them, just like a few of them. I'm the world's biggest idiot. Okay.
Hey, that's why we have an edit feature.
Yeah. Damn. All right, here we go. Let's do this thing. Let's talk Week 12 in Denver. Big matchup. Browns going to Denver to take on the hottest team in the NFL, the Broncos. Never thought I would be saying that a few months ago, but here we are, a 5-5 Broncos team getting ready to host a 7-3 Browns team. So we're going to run through my keys to victory, and we're going to get everyone familiar with the Broncos and with the Browns and how they match up and how they stack up against one another. But let's kind of set a bit of a primer, as I like to do for these previews, by looking at Denver's defense against Cleveland's offense this year. The Browns' offense averaging 22.7 points per game, whereas Denver's defense giving up more than that at 26.8. Now, of course, when you give up 70 points and over 700 yards to the Dolphins, that's going to be an outlier. And the Broncos have been working hard to bring those numbers down, but ultimately a 70 prime rib burger is going to drag things up a little bit. Turnovers, Unfortunately, the Browns continue to struggle to protect the football, whereas Denver's defense has been a takeaway machine amid their 4-game winning streak. Now, here's how the Broncos offense goes up against Cleveland's defense. Broncos offense scoring over 21 points a game. Cleveland's defense giving up, it's not even Cleveland's defense, it's just the team giving up 17.5 points per game when you factor in 2, scoop and score, or pick six and a scoop and score against the Steelers. Total yards, Browns defense giving up a league-leading low 243, whereas the Broncos offense averaging just over 300 yards. Third down percentage, the Browns are number one, a quarter of the time giving up a third down or giving up a first down on third down, whereas Denver is sort of middle of the pack at 38.2. Red zone, that is the only Achilles-ish heel for Cleveland. They have not had an outstanding red zone defense, giving up touchdowns over 60% of the time, whereas Denver is only scoring them 50% of the time. So let's talk a little bit more about Denver's defense, because I know that everyone sort of licks their chops when they get to go up against the Broncos, because we all saw what the Dolphins did and what a lot of teams did to the Broncos early in the year. I am here to say this is a different Broncos defense. Look at the points allowed in the first 5 weeks, 36.2. Look at the points allowed in the next 5 weeks, 17.4. This is more than a 50% decrease. Yards allowed, down by 100. First downs, dramatically down. Takeaways, dramatically up. And the record completely flipped. Everyone in Berea, I hope, knows this, but this Broncos defense is not the defense anymore that gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. Do not be fooled. This is your warning. I'm telling you guys right now, Denver's defense is not what it was at the start of the year. They have dramatically improved. They have changed personnel. They have changed starters. They have moved on from guys and brought different people in. They have changed things up. I understand going into this game, everyone's going to be thinking, Denver's not that good. We all saw it at the beginning of the year. Stop. It's a different team. Trust me. So, predict the score. Browns versus Broncos. Before I give you my keys to victory, let me know what your score predictions are down below in the comment section. I'm going to give you my score prediction at the end of the video. My first key to victory, protect the football. I promised myself that I would never give cliche keys to victory, but until Cleveland really take get Michael Scott here, take heed of my message, no, they're going to have to hear it, especially going up against the takeaway machine that is the Denver Broncos. Denver has forced 12 turnovers in the last 3 weeks. Now, the only good-ish news for Cleveland is that despite having 12 turnovers or 12 takeaways in 3 games, it has only amounted to 25 points. They're not even getting a field goal on average from each takeaway. So the Broncos offense is not capitalizing on these great opportunities from Denver. And it's kind of up to the Broncos defense to take these turnovers and score it themselves, because they are getting takeaway after takeaway after takeaway, and Denver's getting maybe a field goal, but more often than not, a punt after these takeaways. So the good news is for the Browns, this is a Denver defense that takes the ball away and does nothing with it majority of the time. Denver's offense, like I said, has not capitalized enough off of these turnovers, but when you win 2 straight games by a combined 3 points, even just 1 field goal from the takeaways, even if you only score on 1 of the 5 of them, that has been the difference maker in the Bills game and the Vikings game. So protect the football. And before we get to the rest of my keys to victory, let me tell you guys about our awesome sponsor today, Odds Are. Game day just got a major upgrade, Browns fans. With Odds Are, I'm not just throwing my bets into the wind. Odds Are doesn't take bets, but they sure help you make smarter ones. Dive into this world of smart betting. NFL Daily listeners and Browns Report listeners get 30 days free. It's like having a sports betting advisor right in your pocket. Dive in, explore, and let's make game day even more thrilling. So go ahead and get the Odds Are app and your 30-day free trial at oddsr.com/NFL Daily. I've included that link in the comments and description of today's video. 30-day free trial waiting for you at oddsr.com/NFL NFL Daily. Second key to victory for the Brownies, just some vertical shots. I know I just said protect the football, which usually means like don't turn it over with some deep balls and whatnot, but I need more than what we saw last week. Look at Dorian Thompson-Robinson's passing chart from the win against Pittsburgh. There is not a single pass beyond 15 yards. Like, I'm not saying completion. I just mean attempt. The furthest attempt was 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. So like we just talked about earlier, Denver's defense has dramatically improved. Pittsburgh's defense took note of this and made a lot of adjustments in the second half, making it very difficult for the Browns to run the football. So do not go into a second straight game with plenty of tape and film out there that the Browns offense does not want to push the ball down the field, right? The Cleveland defense was able to win this past game because they were going up against a shitty quarterback in Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada. Fortunately, this entire season is not going up against Pickett's and Canadas, okay? You cannot become predictable offensively. So Denver right now is game planning for a Browns offense that has no vertical game to them, and they are going to bring everyone close to the line of scrimmage. And for a ground game that's kind of, streaky at times, that is the last thing you want to see. Justin Simmons and the rest of these DBs and linebackers inching closer and closer because they don't believe you can take the top off the defense. Now, if there is one little bit of good-ish news for the Browns, they are catching the Broncos at a little bit of a vulnerable time. Kareem Jackson, their starting safety, was suspended yet again, this time for 4 games. And their backup is injured, and then that backup's backup is injured. So, if Delaire and Turner-Yell, a 5th-round pick for them, ends up getting the start, that's good news for Dorian Thompson-Robinson because he is the worst starting safety in the NFL. He is ranked dead last, 88th out of 88 qualifying players, an overall PFF grade of 41.1. So, if there is a Delaire and Turner-Yell sighting on the field, that is the man to attack. That is the guy to send Amari Cooper deep on, to send Elijah Moore deep on. That is the guy to pick on. So, hopefully we can see some more vertical shots from the Browns in this game. Third key to victory, Elijah Moore steps up. Why Elijah Moore, right? Why not Amari Cooper? I'll tell you why. Amari Cooper is unfortunately going to be in for a long day. He is going up against, in my opinion, the best cornerback in the NFL in Patrick Surtain. Now, his coverage stats this year, like every single Broncos defensive stat, is slightly inflated because of that blowout game against Miami. But even with that 70-point loss, he is still only giving up 40 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, one of which came in that game, 1 interception, 9 pass breakups. Pat Surtain, in my eyes, is the single best corner in the NFL. I would take him over Sauce Gardner. I would take him over anyone. When we look at the Browns receiving room, Amari Cooper is definitely going to be shadowed by Pat Surtain. He's going to be going up against him a ton. And so that leaves Elijah Moore, David Njoku, Cedric Tillman to step up. The good news is Elijah Moore will likely be going up against a Broncos corner in Fabian Moreau, who is not all that good. Like, he is definitely beatable. David Njoku is going to be going up against a pair of linebackers in Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell, who are not the best in coverage. So if Amari Cooper is going to be bracketed off in this game with Pat Surtain, the rest of the receiving crew has to step up. Fourth key to victory, special teams spark. It's a third of the game. And when your offense is down to their backup quarterback and the defense is on the road gasping for air at a mile-high elevation, well, you're going to have to lean on special teams a little bit extra, which, unfortunately, Dustin Hopkins' name has already been called time after time after time. But what's one more time, right? The guy leads the league in field goal makes, field goal attempts. He is kicking them at a percentage just shy of 90. He has a career long of 58 this season. Last week, we saw the defense cover the Browns' offense's tail. This week, I think a special team score, a block of sorts, or a perfection from Dustin Hopkins, 3 for 3, 4 for 4, 5 for 5, might be necessary to gut out a win, right? It's hard to put your finger on special teams, but you know it when you see it, right? And you know great special teams when you see great special teams. So that means James Prochet doing everything he can to get the Browns offense in the best spot possible to succeed on punt return. That means kick return game. When they take the ball out of the end zone, getting them past the 25-yard line. and that means perfection from Hopkins. Some sort of block, some sort of return. I don't really know exactly, but we need something from special teams. Fifth and final key to victory for the Browns, an improved ground game. Remember when I said some vertical shots because of the predictability from the Browns offense? Yeah, that is my biggest fear for Cleveland going into this game. That Denver knows what the Browns want to do, and that is run the football, and they come well prepared to stop the run. And the Browns offense doesn't go from one-dimensional to no, it goes to zero-dimensional. Now, in Week 11 against the Steelers, Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, they did not fare all that well to get the ground going, right? Jerome Ford had one touchdown, but he averaged less than 3 yards a pop. Kareem Hunt had a long as 16. If you remove that 16-yard run, talking 11 carries for 20 yards. Not very good. Now, you're probably asking, all right, so the running back stink. Like, what's the issue here? Why are the Browns not having success running the football? I want to show you guys two plays. Let's look at this first play from the first half against the Steelers. There are times when the running backs are not seeing holes or having great vision all that well. And then there's plays like this, right? Where unfortunately, James Hudson, filling in for DeJuan Jones for most of the game against the Steelers, finds himself beat by a good Pittsburgh defensive line. And if you're Kareem Hunt right now, where are you going? You got a free linebacker who's staring at you right now, and you got a defensive lineman who's beat his block and is in the backfield as Kareem Hunt gets the handoff. Like, this is just doomed from the start. This one just comes down to a little bit better of execution. All right, let's look at the next play now, okay? Fast forward a little bit. It's another handoff to Kareem Hunt. And count out the Browns jerseys there. We have Bitonio, Teller pulling, and Posick the center, all teaming up on one defender. Again, Kareem Hunt has a good-looking hole here, but there are two Steelers players just waiting to get in on the action and take down 27. So a little bit better coordination on the blocking side of things, but also when this Pittsburgh Steelers defense knew the ground game was going to be the focal point of the Browns offense with DTR, and in the first half, the Browns sort of tipped their hand that they are not going to go in the air much beyond 10 or so yards, it made it incredibly difficult for the Browns to run the ball. Add in the fact that there's no Nick Chubb, no human eraser, and that Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt are not two speedy backs with extreme burst or quickness or anything like that. Defenses are crowding the box. And the Browns' offensive line might be able to block a couple of guys, but they can't get to everyone. And so when defenses get towards the line of scrimmage and running backs don't have that burst to get a little bit of separation, you're going to get a lot of 1, 2, maybe 3 yard gains. So one last time, predict the score for me before I give you my score prediction. Browns versus Broncos. Let me know down below in the comment section. Drum roll, please. Brrr. I got Cleveland. I got the Browns defense. I got a special team score. I got the Browns winning 17-14. I know Denver's riding a 4-game winning streak. This defense has been very impressive for the Broncos, but I don't believe the offense has been as good as it looks on paper. And Myles Garrett and this defense should be able to slow them down enough to get a few scores from this offense and special teams to get them out to at least a lead and hopefully hold on to that lead. Predict the score, Browns versus Broncos. Let me know down below in the comment section. Okay. Chris Yarden, Browns 33, Broncos 27. 33 points for a DTR-led offense. That seems high. I'm not going to lie. That one seems a bit rich. We got Joshua Miller in the chat. Good to see you, Josh. 20-17 Brownies. Okay. Diver Bob, Browns 24, Donkeys 10. Get some more score predictions for me down below in the comment section. Let me know. Lil Beam, 24-10 Browns. Fat Assen, 17-6. Wolfstand, Browns win, but a colon clencher for sure. That's great. I've never heard that. Colon clencher for sure. Someone's giving out colonoscopies after this game. Jacob Kistner, 19-13 Browns. William Pierce is here. Jackson Green, 26-3 Browns, I assume. James Harper, 17-9 Browns. Okay, we do have a mailbag coming up in just a few short moments. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask them. #Browns. Or you can super chat. We're still waiting for our first super chat. So if you want to be the first one to send a super chat in, feel free to knock yourself out. And all super chats are guaranteed to be on the mailbag. So if you have a question you are dying to ask and you want to skip the line, so to speak, super chat, and we will include that question on our mailbag. Yes, sir. Okay. We got Lil Beam asking some questions. Jojo Boyd, Broncos got the worst run defense in the league. Yes and no. Like, they have given up the most amount of rushing yards. They also gave up over 300 rushing yards against the Dolphins. If that game gets removed, or even if you just take that 350, just take it down to 200, it's no longer the worst run defense in the NFL. So Denver, like, if you just look at the NFL rankings, is last or close to last in just about everything. But that's because of the Dolphins game. Like, if you cut Miami's offense in that game in half, just make it a 35-point game, right? And that's still a lot of points. And that's still a lot of yards. All of a sudden, they're no longer dead last, right? But ultimately, it's like in school. Like, if you get a 0 on a test, you can have 80s and 90s the rest of the way. That's a huge average tanker. And a 70 is going to tank your average. Do we need some more questions? Okay. Here we go. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Lil Beam is a question like connoisseur. He is living for mailbags. Lil Beam just goes like channel to channel looking for mailbags. He just wants mailbags. The guy's addicted to mailbags. The guy might be a mailman. Might be a mailman. Ayo! Super chat, first one of the day, coming in from Joshua Miller. Let's go. Let's pull it up right now if we can, and then we'll include that after that first question right there. But Joshua Miller, appreciate you sending the super chat as always. I feel like Josh saves the supers for the weekly shows, and then he lets other people take over for the watch parties. Joshua Miller, if the Browns make the playoffs without Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, and a makeshift tackle room, should Coach Stefanski win Coach of the Year? I don't disagree with that. I don't think that's how they decide, or that's how the voters tend to decide who gets the award. Right? Usually Coach of the Year goes to one of two coaches. Coach of a team that no one had any high regards on. Right?
D'Amico
Ryans, basically, right? The Texans. Or coach for a team that had so-so expectations and then got the 1 seed. Like Mike Vrabel with the Titans. Remember that one season? No one had big regards, right? Nick Sirianni theoretically is like the best coach right now. His team is 9-1. But that's not really how Coach of the Year goes. So for the Browns, unfortunately for Kevin Stefanski, if he coaches a team to 10-7, that's not going to jump off the page, but it should be factored in. He did it without his starting running back, his starting quarterback, and both of his starting tackles for a period of time. So that, unfortunately, is going to get lost on people, but Browns fans will appreciate what Stefanski was able to do. All right, here we go. Let's jump into our mailbag. Josh, we'll save that question yet again for the mailbag as well. Mailbag time here on today's show. We're going to talk about all the latest on Shaq Leonard and whether or not it makes sense for the Browns to go out and sign him, because pretty good timing as Mike Honcho asked, should the Browns sign Shaq Leonard? So let's talk a little bit about Shaq Leonard and whether or not it's a good fit for Cleveland to go out and sign him. Over the last 4 seasons, Shaq Leonard has missed some time over the last 2 years. This year, he's only playing 70% of the defensive snaps, and he has not been the explosive playmaker that he was to start his NFL career. I mean, we can look at Shaq Leonard's numbers side by side, his first 4 years and now the last 2 years, and look at the numbers. I mean, we have to recognize Shaq Leonard's start of his NFL career as one of the best linebacker starts anyone has ever had. 15 sacks. I mean, there are edge rushers that would love to have 15 sacks over that stretch. And he's doing it as an off-ball linebacker. 11 interceptions. There are great DBs who don't get to 11 interceptions in their NFL career. 17 forced fumbles. I mean, we have never seen an off-ball linebacker be such a dynamic playmaker like we saw out of Shaquille Leonard or Darius Leonard at the time to open up their NFL careers. However, the injury bug is real. And sadly, it robbed us of Shaq Leonard's greatness for the last 2 years. And I think there are some serious concerns in Indianapolis that Shaq Leonard will never be able to get back to the player he was before the injuries he sustained because they were serious injuries. Now, let's talk about the Browns for a moment and whether or not Cleveland would make sense as a suitor for Shaq Leonard. Well, they're kind of good-ish at linebacker, right? Like, of course, if we're talking all-pro Shaq Leonard, 3-time all-pro guy, yeah, he's better than Taki. He's better than Anthony Walker. But right now, we haven't seen that all-pro guy in a little bit. And Anthony Walker and JOK both play about 65 to 70% of snaps. Taki plays a little bit under 50% of snaps. So Jim Schwartz runs a 2-linebacker system for the most part. Now, that could change now that Rodney McLeod is out for the season. So maybe he goes to a more typical 3-linebacker set. And if that's the case, yeah, I would say JOK, Anthony Walker, and Shaq Leonard are 3 better linebackers than JOK, Walker, and Taki. Although with a defense like this that is kicking ass and is the number 1 defense in the NFL, I don't know how receptive the locker room would be to, hey, I know you guys are balling out right now and you're doing everything great, but we're going to switch it up a little bit, right? That's kind of like that one of the final scenes in Miracle or one of the final, towards the end of the movie when Herb Brooks brings in that extra skater and they're like, Herb, we're a family. You can't do that to us. I'm not quite sure how the locker room would react. Now, I'm sure Anthony Walker would be pretty happy with it. Him and Darius Shaquille Leonard go back to their time in Indianapolis together. And I brought up an old tweet of Shaq Leonard's from March of 2021 when Walker signed with the Browns in free agency. And Darius Shaquille Leonard tweeted out, amazing player, man. He does everything the right way. It sucks that he's leaving, but Cleveland is gaining a dog. He's a great leader, and he's going to lead your defense to be great. I will truly miss him. I give him a lot of credit for my success. I wouldn't be me without him. Does he have every single sentence with an exclamation point? He's one of those guys. He's just a really happy dude. But yes, there is clearly the connection between, get Walker and Leonard back on the field together. They were great together in Indianapolis. Walker's only gotten better since then. If you can get old Shaq Leonard back with Anthony Walker, that could be a great duo. The Browns need a playmaker at linebacker, like a guy that can generate turnovers. That's sort of the one missing element of this linebacker room. JOK, Walker, Taki, none of them have a real knack for the football outside of a random interception or forced fumble here or there. But whose snaps is he going to take? Because I'm not sure you're getting that 2019, 2020 all-pro player. You might be getting a guy that's just a good linebacker, but does he want to come and play for a Browns team where he might not be a starter? If so, sure. Like Anthony Walker, week to week with a hamstring injury, that could be a quick, plug in and keep it moving without missing a beat here. But if everyone is healthy, I'm not quite sure where Leonard fits into this defense unless the Browns truly want to run a 3-linebacker set and have Leonard be where Taki was as an outside linebacker. So let me know. Should the Browns add Shaq Leonard? Yes or no? Give me your honest opinion down below in the comment section. I don't think the fit is great with Cleveland because they're pretty good at linebacker and this defense is incredible already. So I'm not sure how receptive everyone would be to making a big change like that. But having an all-pro player on the street who's not washed or he's not old in November, that does not happen every year. So it might be tough to pass on that. Now, what you guys should not pass on is Prize Picks. Thanks to Prize Picks, I've had some of the most fun watching football, winning up to 25 times my money this season. And now you can play with me during basketball season as well. We all know there could be some absolute stinkers of primetime matchups. So if you are brave enough to watch Jets, Dolphins on Black Friday, well, how about you check out Prize Picks in the process. Here are my selections for Turkey Day. I'm taking the more on all 3 running backs in each of the games. Christian McCaffrey, more than just half a yard. Just need to gain 1 yard, and we got that done. Jahmyr Gibbs, more than 79.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. I like Tony Pollard's more. I think they're running the ball a little bit more in Dallas now than they were earlier in the year. And I like the more on Brandon Ayuk and DK Metcalf for half a touchdown. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Getting on to the rest of the questions on today's show, Joshua Miller with a $5 super chat. If the Browns make the playoffs without Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, and a makeshift tackle room, should Coach Stefanski win Coach of the Year? I think in Cleveland, he would definitely get a lot of votes for that. However, from the national media, they're not going to look at the Browns team that went through all that. They're just going to look at the final record. And they're going to see a Browns team that won maybe 10 or 11 games. And that's not going to be as impressive as a Texans team that might make the playoffs with D'Amico Ryans in year one and a rookie quarterback, or Dan Campbell, who took the Detroit Lions to the top of the division and maybe even a 1 or 2 seed over in the NFC. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of politics that go into all these voting, and I don't think that hurdles and adversity that teams face really factors into the voting as much as it should. It's more about the end product and the ultimate record at the end of the year. James Harper, first-time super chatter with a question. I believe the Browns will choose DTR to start the rest of the season until playoffs. By that time, if he's not doing much better than he is now, they will use Flacco. I don't believe the Browns signed Joe Flacco to be a mentor. I believe they signed Joe Flacco because they do not want to risk the rest of the year on a rookie quarterback. Now, they're going to give DTR the start on Sunday in Denver. And if things don't go well, they might give him another start in LA. But if DTR comes back to Cleveland after this 2-game road trip, not smelling super good, I think we could see Joe Flacco as soon as the first home game against Jacksonville and possibly already in LA. But I do not believe Joe Flacco was signed to be a mentor. However, I do believe that DTR will get the start. He's getting the start in Denver, and he's going to get a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, a little bit of a longer leash. But the Browns are not going to let the season go down the drain, watching DTR waste a really good year and a really good defense if Joe Flacco is sitting on the bench. But pick a quarterback for me, DTR or Joe Flacco. I'm going to roll with DTR. I don't think Joe Flacco is the elite quarterback that he once was, if he ever was one. But for now, I'll stick with DTR. However, I would not be quick to pull the plug. Miami Mac, what's going on? Or I would be quick to pull the plug. You think Stefanski is back in the Coach of the Year award convo? Like I was just saying earlier, I feel like Coach of the Year award really comes down to teams that had low expectations that dramatically exceeded expectations, right? If we go back to the previous Coach of the Year awards, last year, Brian Daboll and the New York Giants, low expectations, okay? Year before that, I can't remember. But we had Matt Nagy win it in 2018. Oh, year before that, no, Stefanski win in 2020. Like, there's a trend of coaches that win Coach of the Year. It's teams with really low expectations. Who won Coach of the Year? We had Vrabel. Okay, right. Tennessee Titans, and then Stefanski, and then Harbaugh, and then Nagy. So we have two types of Coach of the Year winners. You've got coaches of teams that have rock bottom expectations that go to the playoffs. That's not the Browns this year. Then you have coaches like Vrabel, which are good teams that come out of nowhere and win the 1 seed, like the Titans, like the Ravens did. The Browns aren't really one of those two teams. They're not probably going to win the 1 seed, and they're not a team that had low expectations this year, in my opinion. So unfortunately, it doesn't matter what adversity that Stefanski coached through. Guys voting in California and Texas and New York, they don't know it like we do, and they're not going to look at that. They're going to look at D'Amico Ryans and Dan Campbell. We have ECO HD. I hope I pronounced it right this time. I worry Joe Flacco has loyalty to the Dirty Birds. It might sell us out in a huge playoff game. Hate that signing. Dude, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's a crazy thought because it's not like Joe Flacco is playing for another contract. He's done. Like, this is probably the last time he's ever going to lace them up. So if he really wants to stick it to the Browns one last time, sure. However, I don't know how much he loves the Ravens after their departure and the way they went to Lamar. So he might not feel like he has to be a double agent. I would hope that's not going to be a factor. I would hope that once he's in this locker room and they're in the playoffs, vibes are high, people are happy, and he's going to want to win with this team, and he's going to want to win another Super Bowl before throwing intentional interceptions. But, man, you just planted this in my head, and now I'm a little nervous. Little B, next one up. James Hudson has not been very good and gets too many penalties put on him. Personally, I would like to put Christian at left tackle and DeJuan Jones at right tackle. Yeah, that's absolutely the plan. Like, once DeJuan Jones is healthy enough to play a whole game, that is the starting lineup until Jed Wills can return. So James Hudson, unfortunately, as a swing tackle, played just enough before this year to say, like, oh, he could be a good swing tackle. And now he's playing a little bit too much. We go, like, I don't like him as a swing tackle anymore. So I agree. Once DeJuan Jones is healthy enough to play first, second, third, and fourth down, he will be back at right tackle, and Christian will stay at left tackle until Jed Wills comes off of IR. Now, off the wall question. Who was the Browns quarterback when you first became a fan? Right now, vibes are high, a little bit tense still, knowing that there's no Deshaun Watson. So just taking a little bit of a breather here and not asking a hard-hitting question. Just who was the Browns quarterback when you first became a fan? Jersey Dog, next one up on the show. How concerned should we be that a team might try to grab Jim Schwartz as their head coach? How many teams are lining up to get defensive coordinators who are, I mean, can you Google how old Jim Schwartz is? I think he's 57. He might even be older. Like, I don't know if there's a long list of teams that want to hire 57-year-old defensive coordinators who would be on their second head coaching stint. That might be a pretty short list. In fact, I think it's really important to look at what teams are going to be hiring, right? The Bears are going to be hiring. The Bears want to run it back with a second straight DC? Probably not, okay? The Raiders are going to be hiring. Do they want to run it with the DC? Maybe, but maybe not. So I don't think that the Browns are going to be in any sort of jeopardy of losing Jim Schwartz or any real big jeopardy. I think there are some old DCs out there who are happy just being a defensive coordinator and for a living destroying quarterbacks. Jack, next one up on the show. Do you think the Browns should open up the playbook for DTR and see if he is going to be the guy for the rest of the year? I mean, we can pull up DTR's passing chart from the win against Pittsburgh, and DTR never threw the ball more than 15 yards down the field. I mean, that's the 20-yard mark, that white line, and he never got past 15, 16 yards max. So I sure hope they at least ask him to throw an incomplete pass 20 yards down the field. Otherwise, as a safety, why would I ever line up more than 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, right? There's nothing that's going to go behind me. If so, DTR and the Browns do not open up a little bit more of a vertical passing attack in his, I would say, second true start, but third technical start, then we might have a serious issue on Sunday because Denver's defense is just going to crowd the line of scrimmage. Jack, I appreciate your question. I appreciate all the questions we got on today's mailbag. If you enjoyed our content, go ahead and subscribe. Help us grow as a channel. I'm trying to reach 30,000 subscribers before Christmas. It would be the best present I could get. So if you want some free Browns content in your life, go ahead and hit that sub button. Who was the Browns quarterback? Frank Ryan. Okay, Ty, man. You can't say Frank Ryan and Baker Mayfield. We're decades apart on those two. You got to pick one. We have Charlie Fry. We have an interesting version of spelling Brian Sipe. What else we have here? I'm looking. I'm not seeing. Miami Mac, Johnny Manziel. Okay. Brian Sipe. Orrin Smith. Good to see you, Orrin. I feel like you're always a regular here at our live shows. I appreciate you, my man. Cool guy. I genuinely don't know. Yeah, it's probably the toughest fan base to figure out who the quarterback was when you first became a fan, given the revolving door at the quarterback position. Ice from 7, Brady Quinn. I hate Brady Quinn now. Brady Quinn calling Deshaun Watson a trust fund baby, a trust fund quarterback. Deshaun Watson literally led a second-half comeback in Baltimore and completed all 14 of his passes with a broken bone in his shoulder and a high ankle sprain. But I was told Watson doesn't want to play anymore. He got the money. He's not going to play through injuries anymore. Fuck you, Brady Quinn. Okay. DTR from Miami Mac. Welcome to the fan base, I guess. Bernie coming in from Jason. Love to see it. Okay. So I have taken up about an hour of your time. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single Tuesday. To all of our super chatters, thank you guys. Did we run through all the super chats? Okay, perfect. Once again, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. It's going to be a bit of a spotty-ish schedule for me. I am off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. No. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm working tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll still have some content going out over then, but it'll just be a little bit irregular compared to previous weeks. Oh, super chat coming in. Let's go. Keep the show going. Hey, we get more super chats. We can keep the lights on. Robert, Brian Sipe, and the Cardiac Kids. All right, so Robert has unfortunately been through a lot of heartbreak. But you know what, Robert? I appreciate you sticking with this team all this time. I never understand people that can just, abandon teams. You can't abandon teams. It's your team.
If you abandon teams, you're worse than a Steelers fan.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Robert, I really appreciate your super chat, though. Thank you very much for supporting the show like this. And once again, enjoy the rest of your week, the rest of your day, and Thanksgiving week, of course. Eat some turkey for me. Fun trivia here. How about this one? You ready?
Hit me.
So, as some of you guys know, I host trivia Tuesday nights. And tonight's theme, I don't get to pick all the questions, is Thanksgiving. And I'm not excited. There's no really good Thanksgiving.
It's not really great ones.
There's good Christmas trivia.
Yes.
There's good Halloween trivia.
Well, because there's not a lot of, I feel like good
There's no
trivia.
movies about
There's no
Thanksgiving.
movies. There's no songs. There's no nothing.
Yep.
There's
Ooh,
nothing.
Kister with a $2
Another.
super chat. Let's go. And I'm not even really sure how accurate this one is, but I saw it, so I'll roll with it. Do you want to take a stab at the average amount of calories people eat on Thanksgiving Day?
I'm going to say 3,500.
3,500. I'll give you guys 30 or so seconds. Average amount of calories people eat on Thanksgiving Day. Jacob Kistner, though, with a $2 super chat. I knew it here is 2 for electric bill. Let's go Browns. Jacob is a wordsmith. Help me decipher this because he makes the most of every single character.
I knew it
here.
I knew it, comma. Here's 2 for the electric bill.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I knew it. Here's $2 for the electric bill. Let's go Browns. Appreciate you, Jacob. Like you're staying on.
Let's go Browns.
Turn the lights off for a moment. Lights are off. Lights are off. Lights are back on. Let's go. Okay. Here you go. Final trivia answers. Amount of calories people eat on Thanksgiving Day. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It shocked me because I knew it would be a high number. And again, I can't really verify this for sure. Ice from 7. Let's go. 4,500.
I was not too far off.
Dude, you're supposed to have 2,000 calories a day.
A day, yeah.
Fucking double it.
See, and that doesn't include drinking.
Well, I think
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it.
Yeah.
I mean, 4,500 calories is a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot to consume food-wise.
But the issue is you're having 4 meals.
Yeah.
Like Thanksgiving dinner is 2 meals.
Yes.
You're munching. That's 3.
Well, you're grazing
you're
all
grazing
day.
all day. And you may have I don't know what time you have Thanksgiving, but if you're Thanksgiving lunch or Thanksgiving dinner, you could have another
there's
meal
breakfast.
as well.
There's you're eating a little bit ahead of time.
First jersey was Brian Hoyer and Josh Gordon. Die-hard fan here. Let's go Browns. Ice from 7. I rock with you, man. I love it. I love it. You got to have old, good throwback jerseys.
Always.
I love it, dude. Ice from 7. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you to everyone who sends in super chat. Dr. Crew says, lights stay on, Petey. What are you thinking of? Lights are off. Lights are back on. Dr. Crew, what do you think the odds are of us having the 1 seed? So in my playoff picture, I don't know if you watched that portion of the show, I did not include the odds. I included the odds of the 1 seed. I did not really dive into the path for the 1 seed, I should say. And the reason is it's way too early to start going, the Browns, hiccups. Browns need to win this game, and that game, and the Chiefs and the Ravens need to lose that game, and that game. So what do I think the chances are? Well, New York Times says 7%. I don't think they're going to get the 1 seed. I hate to be the Debbie Downer. I just don't feel like DTR can lead the Browns or this defense can go to the 1 seed spot. They're half a game back right now. And if the season ended in 2 weeks, sure, like you just need to be good for like 2 or so weeks. We got 7 games to go. Like they could very well go 4-3 or 3-4 in that stretch, and that still gets you the playoffs, right? That gets you 10 or 11 wins. But I don't think the Browns are going to get the 1 seed. I'm sorry. Dr. Crew, I do appreciate the super chat though. Chris Yarden next one up. We will score a lot more this week. Offensive tackle is a bigger issue than quarterback. They cannot sustain blocks. That's why DTR has not passed. Okay. That's why DTR did not pass 15 yards. Mm-hmm. I think that's what Chris is trying to say at the end there. So I do believe the Browns offense with another full week of practice with DTR will get better. Like reps do help. Those things do add up. I don't know if I feel the same way about offensive tackle, though. The Steelers have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. The Broncos do not have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. They have Jonathan Cooper, who some of you might remember from his time in Columbus. Baron Browning, the same goes for him. Nick Bonito. Like, they've got good edge rushers, but none of them are over 6 sacks, I believe. So,
see Tim's message.
I'm not too concerned about the offensive tackle spots because of the matchup this week. If they could get it done against T.J. Watt, which they did, I feel a lot better about Cooper and Browning and Bonito. Chris, thank you for the super chat, though. Go Brownies. Miami Mac, what's going on, dude? Gonna keep them coming so you can't go home. That is good stuff there. You know what's actually waiting for me after the show? This actually might stop the super chats. I get to go dunk the Steelers host in Gatorade.
Yeah.
He was such a pussy. He did. I asked if we could do it at 2 o'clock. I asked if we could do it at 2 o'clock so I could record it and include it in the live show.
Mm-hmm. No, never.
I got to film video still, and I don't want my hair wet. I'm like,
bring a towel.
You lost to DTR. You
don't get to make demands here. Yeah. You lost that right when you lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
So I'm going to post a short of that. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But that's what's waiting for me after this live show.
Fun.
So that's why I'm kind of antsy to get to that. Robert, screw Pittsburgh. I like what Robert's having.
Yeah.
Robert's having a good Tuesday night, everyone.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with Robert. Jacob Kistner. My original Browns memories were with Tim Couch at quarterback. I mean, talk about going down memory lane right now.
That's crazy.
Taking us in a time machine, Jacob. I love it, man. I love it. Appreciate you as always. Ice from 7. Next one up. Got an authentic Jim Brown jersey 2 signed. Love the throwbacks. Oh, that's a great one.
That's a really good one.
That's a great one. We sent our signed Jim Brown jersey to Mike Dibble won it. And he told me he wore it as soon as he got it.
Oh, that's sick.
Do you wear signed jerseys, by the way? Like, do you
No.
personally? My dad's a big. I wear signed. Like my dad he's not a fashionista. If he's gonna spend a lot of money on something,
he's gonna wear it.
He's gonna wear it.
Yeah.
He does not care.
I won't wear a sign. I'll wear a regular jersey, not a signed jersey. I'm gonna put that in a frame, hang it up on the wall. That's a cool memorabilia piece. I'm not gonna wear it and spill some beer, spill some mustard from a hot dog on it.
I get that.
You know.
I get that for sure.
I'm also kind of messy, so that's just trying to watch
I
my
only
back.
I don't know if I've been living under a rock. There are people out there that actually believe that once you become an adult, you stop wearing jerseys.
No,
I'm
never.
25.
No. God, no.
So I'm really no longer a kid, but I can see how older people could think I'm a kid. I'm always gonna wear a jersey. I love wearing jerseys.
It's sorry that jerseys are fun to wear. Sorry that repping my team is fun.
Because here's what's fun about jerseys. You can get a jersey of a lower-ish key player, and fans of that team will see you wear that jersey, and they're going to give you so many cool points.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, my God, he is not just wearing a Deshaun Watson or a Myles Garrett jersey. Like, everyone has that.
No.
Is that a Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah jersey? Or in Trace's terms, is that a Rashid Shaheed? Like, what? Where'd you even get? Like, that's incredible. That's why I love wearing jerseys.
Jerseys always have a story, too. There's always a story with the jersey.
Exactly. So I will always be a jersey guy. Now, I appreciate all the super chats as Robert sends one in.
We're staying.
We're staying. Show goes on. Robert. Vodka and orange soda, crush and rush, baby. That is elite.
That's awesome.
Dude, Robert, I am stealing that.
Crush
and I'm not
rush.
giving you credit either.
That is amazing.
I'm going to
Robert.
the bar and saying, I'm going to crush and rush, baby. And they're
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, what is that? Like, come on.
That's
vodka
actually
and a little
awesome.
orange soda.
That's awesome.
That's great. Dude, that's a great one. I recently learned, like, some people call, like, this is like a British thing. They call champagne champers. I kind of like that.
That's interesting.
A little
I like
champers.
that.
Yeah, a little
I like
champers.
that.
I like that too.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Robert, that was great. Okay. So, I'm going to go dunk Jack Sperry in Gatorade. He did not bring his swim equipment. He's like the kid at summer camp that's like, hey, you know it's a pool day today. And they're like, well, you're not skinny dipping, so.
Left my floaties at home.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy sitting on the chair while the rest of us are in the water.
Yeah, sit on the side of the pool, put your flags in. There you go.
All right, I will give Robert give Robert credit for that drink, as the boss of the chat says so. All right, here we go. Chris Yarden, the point I was trying to make was that we couldn't sustain blocks against Pittsburgh. That should be different against Denver, whose pass rush is not as good, with which should be open up. Okay, Chris, I track what you're saying. I agree. Autocorrect is the worst, and I hate when it happens in super chats because, like, that's your hard-earned money, and just Apple is screwing you over.
Yep.
So yes, there will be a better overall offensive structure, not going up against, Watt and Highsmith, and that should lead to more downfield passes. Chris, I hear what you're saying, dude. We're on the same page. Okay. Christopher, by the way. Hey, Christopher, I put your Ben Roethlisberger crying picture in the mail this morning. So hopefully that comes, like, not Wednesday, mail's off Thursday,
So
Friday,
probably Saturday, maybe Monday.
Maybe Monday. Hopefully it comes in by Saturday, though, so you can have it for Sunday. We're going to sign off. Check my YouTube Shorts channel or the YouTube Shorts page on the channel. And I don't know, like an hour or so, he's definitely going to weasel his way out of this. Like, not out of this, but like delay it. He's definitely going to be like,
Don't be surprised if this goes up tomorrow morning.
No, I'm not going to leave today without doing it. Ice from 7 with a $5 super chat. Just when they think I'm out, pull me back in. How about DeJuan? I love the spelling. How about DeJuan Jones putting TJ Watt in a blender? Dude, there's that one play in the second half where it's like, I believe it was Jerome Ford who slightly went out for a pass, and he kind of chipped TJ Watt just a little bit, but it's just a one-on-one matchup. It's TJ Watt against DeJuan Jones, who's got a bad shoulder and a bad knee, and the play ends. You probably didn't see it, Trace. The play ends with the Browns' backup right tackle with a bad shoulder and a bad knee, laying on top of TJ Watt.
That's always got to feel good.
He took TJ Watt's leverage, which is probably one of his greatest feats, and used it against him.
So he went full karate.
And he went full weight forward and just sort of like sunk into DeJuan Jones, and then DeJuan Jones just laid on top of him.
I love it.
DeJuan Jones weighs over 300 pounds.
Pancakes!
You do not want that man laying on top of you. All right. Ice from 7. Thank you for the super chat. I think we're going to sign off. I'm going to give it 5 seconds, and then we're counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. We'll see you all throughout the week. Have a great Thanksgiving. Go Brownies. And I'm going to go dunk Jack Sperry and some Gatorade.